Hey everybody, I'm Benjamin, aka the Terrible Australian of Supermarsy.com, and welcome to my video review of Woman in Gold, which is the new film starring Helen, Mirren and Reynolds. So let's get right into it. Like anyone else, I enjoy a good movie that's based on a true story, because they kind of, no matter sort of what type of story it is, I think having a film that's based on a true story kind of brings a lot of weight to the film, because this isn't something that, somebody's made up. This is a story that, this actually happened, or at least partially based on things that actually happened. So that for that reason alone, I always kind of get a bit of a lot out of films that are based on true stories. Like, there's some good ones and your bad ones, but I think just having that story that is kind of based on some kind of reality kind of adds a little bit more something to the proceedings as a film. And I must admit, though, I hadn't really heard about the true story about the events that have inspired the film Woman in Gold. This is actually the first I've heard of it, so I guess I'm a bit out of the loop when it comes to the news that have happened in the world. But one of the things I thought it was actually, so I thought as a story, okay, that's a pretty interesting story about this one woman who sort of, who wants to reclaim this painting that her family owned, and to sort of get that back from Austria, where it's sort of being kept. So it's about this one woman sort of watching the story of going up against this country to reclaim what is rightly owned to her family. So in that regards, okay, that's a really solid story. And for most part, I'd say Woman in Gold is a pretty solid film. There's nothing sort of, particularly amazing about this film. I think at times I do think it does feel like it's a story that could have benefited from being more played on TV, because it does sort of have this sort of a TV kind of feel, like something that would play better on something like HBO or something like that. Not to say that's like a negative or a bad thing anyway. I just feel like this is a kind of a story that probably would have played better on the small screen rather than the big screen, because director Simon Curtis, who previously made My Weekend with Marilyn, which was a film I did like, but also had a bit of a sort of a TV kind of feel to that as well. But he doesn't really sort of do much in terms of making this story in particular just really cinematic in a lot of ways. So it does, hence why it does have that sort of TV feel to it. But that being said, though, I think what sort of makes this film for me, at least what made me engage with this film, was, of course, the performances of the cast. And Helen Mirren I love Helen Mirren. I think she's a wonderful actress. And once again, she gives a really wonderful performance in this film. And, this is a kind of role that she can easily do in her sleep. But she is an actress who always commits to whatever role she plays. Even if the film itself is not the greatest, she always gives solid work. And I've never actually seen her sort of phone it in. And I thought she was just wonderful in the role of Maria Altmann. She sort of brings a lot of, class and sort of a lot of heart to the story, and you can really feel for her character's journey throughout the course of this film. And also Ryan Reynolds. Well, I do think Ryan was, I don't know how he sort of compares to the real life person that his character is based on. I do think he might be slightly miscast, but that's not to say he doesn't give solid work anyway. I thought he does a pretty good job in this film, and his rapport with Helen Mirren was definitely sort of one of the major highlights of the film. And also the supporting cast, which is quite a who's who. You got Tatiana Maslany from the TV show Orphan Black, who plays the younger version of Helen Mirren's character, and I thought she was wonderful as well. And also you got Daniel Bruhl, who is kind of his character is he plays a journalist who sort of helps out Mirren and Reynolds' characters, but at the same time, his character kind of serves as sort of the good face of Austria. Austria in this film is definitely portrayed as the bad guys for keeping this painting, but Daniel Bruhl is sort of the opposite of that. He's somebody who believes that this painting should go back to its rightful owner. So in a way, his character kind of is playing the good face of this country. And also you got other supporting casts, Max Irons, Charles Dance, Elizabeth McGovern, Jonathan Pryce. A lot of these actors do give solid in the... Oh, and Katie Holmes as well. All these actors are pretty solid in the film, but at the same time, but that's kind of my sort of weakest point with the film, is the supporting cast. Like, even though you've got a great bunch of talented actors in this film, and they all do solid work, but they aren't really given much to do, and they're kind of a bit underused. And even Katie Holmes' character, and I kind of felt, because her character is the wife of Ryan Reynolds' character, and it's a pretty much a nothing part, and it's nothing that, and it almost seemed like anyone could have easily played this, and I kind of felt bad for Katie. I know a lot of people had problems with her as an actress, but I always thought she's adequate as an actress, and I thought she just wasn't given anything to do in this film, and it's a pretty kind of useless role, to be honest. But overall, I did think it's a solid film, and there's actually one moment towards the end of the film that I actually found, which is a scene between sort of the younger version of Helen Mirren's character, who played by Tatiana Maslany, and her parents, that I actually found to be really moving, and I was actually slightly tearing up, and I just thought it was that scene was well handled. I think it's a good sort of like interesting sort of look back then at sort of back in the 1940s as well. The sort of the historical aspects of the film I actually found it pretty fascinating. I kind of wish the film kind of delved into that a little bit more with the scenes set in the past. But for the most part, it's solid, but I could have liked to have seen more of that. So overall, Woman in Gold, it's a solid film. It's not like an amazing film in particular, and I'd say it's more of a film to check out when it comes out on DVD or the Blu-ray or video on demand. So it's one you can just sit back and enjoy, and I would say I would describe this as a mum's film, because it's definitely something my mum would definitely enjoy. Not to say that's a bad thing. It's just, you can tell what certain movies play for what type of audience. So, but overall, I did think it's a solid film. I did enjoy it for the most part, and if I had to rate this film, I'd give it a solid 3 stars. So, yep, that's the end of my video review of Woman in Gold. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys all later. See you, everyone. Bye.